Good morning. Today is Friday, the 8th of March, 2013. Here are the news headlines for today. Starting off with international. As you know by now, Hugo Chavez is deader than Hugo Chavez. And about 30 international heads of state will be attending his state funeral, which will be held today. Most of the guys from Latin America, a couple from places like Belarus and Iran are going to show up. Martinelli is going to go from Panama. So Hugo Chavez is dead and they're going to have a state funeral. I don't like freaking Chavez. I'm glad he's gone. Okay. Also in international news, in the Estrella, the business partner, okay, this is about the Finmeccanica case. Italy, corruption. Finmeccanica is a company that's a state company that's partially owned, like 30% by the government of Italy. And it was their business practice, standard practice done in India, Panama, other countries around the world. We will charge too much for the contract and then kick back the bribes to the corrupt local government officials in order to do business. They did this in not only in just Panama, they did it in lots of other places. But in Panama, this guy named Walter Lavitula, who's in prison for doing all kinds of stuff, he had a business partner named Capriotti. Okay, Capriotti has now been arrested. He was arrested in Switzerland, and he is being extradited to Italy. Now, the interesting thing about why he was arrested, according to the prosecutor in Naples, Italy, and according to the case file that they have in Naples, Italy, he specifically was arrested for having paid, listen to this, $700,000 in bribes to Panamanian officials. That's right, folks. Italy is continuing to investigate this case, and according to their evidence and investigation and witnesses, etc., they got this guy paying Panamanians, sitting Panamanian officials, $700,000 in bribes. That was just to set the contract up. The contract was never executed. All of this crap between Lavitula and the Prime Minister of Italy blew up before the Finmeccanica, the big contract with the radars and the helicopters and the digital mapping, and this contract had to do with modular prisons or some crap. I think, actually, call it think, that Juan Carlos Varela was fired by Martinelli because of all this Finmeccanica crap. He was he was in charge of the foreign ministry at the time, and he was the one that brought all of this pain and suffering into the Martinelli administration. When the whole thing blew up and it went to crap, then it was like, boom, you're out. So anyway, this dude arrested on his way to Italy, and there will be more to come on that. Also in international news, sports, New York, Yankees, Mariano Rivera. Word on the street is that Mariano Rivera, the closing pitcher for the New York Yankees, is going to announce that he will retire at the end of this season. He hurt his knee last year early in the season. He had to get operated on. He was out for most of the season. And pretty much he came back and said, listen, I don't want my career to end that way. I want to do one more year. He's already got 608 saves, the most of any closing pitcher in history. I love the guy. I think he's wonderful. He's as a New York Yankee fan, every time he gets a save, that's a win for the Yankees. So he was on the mound, and he put away 608 wins for the Yankees. Believe me, this guy walks on water in New York. So anyway, Mo is going to do one more year, then retire, and we're going to miss him. Okay, bye, Mo. Anyway, get to watch him all year long. I hope he gets up to I hope he does 40 friggin' saves this year. Hope he gets over 650. That would be badass. He's already as badass as it gets. So, okay, weather in the Telemetro, the Cineproc, the Civil Protection Agency is warning about high waves, big surf this weekend on the Panamanian Pacific coast. They're saying this is a good weekend to not go to the beach. Do something else. Don't go to the beach this weekend. Big waves. Practically every time they issue one of these warnings, by Sunday or Monday, I'm doing a report about some dude who died on the beach. I mean, it happens all the time. They issue one of these warnings, a couple of days goes by, dead guy. Happens. Pay attention to the warnings. Good time to avoid the beach this weekend. Okay. Infrastructure in the IDAN, in the TVN, the IDAN, the water guys. They're building one of those overpass bridges over on Transísmica where the McDonald's is, and it's part of where the Via Brazil. They're trying to connect the northern and southern corridors. Well, apparently they're doing some excavation work there, and they did some damage to the 16-inch water pipe, and they had to shut down the water, which supplies the entire area of the city known as El Carmen. So that whole neighborhood there is without water this morning. The damage happened last night, and they're in the process of repairing it. So if you live in that part of the city and you don't have water, then that's why. They've busted so many water pipes between the metro and all of these things. You would think they don't know where the friggin' water pipes are. They don't. Okay. In the siglo, over to crime, there has been a rash of murders perpetrated against taxi drivers. There's been a couple that have happened in the last couple of days. And it's the same kind of a thing. Guy goes out and it's all, looking normal, and next thing you know, he disappears. Then they find the vehicle, then they find the dead guy. So the taxi drivers are starting to get up in arms, asking for greater levels of protection. The fact of the matter is that these guys are out driving around all over the city, all hours of the day and night, and they're relatively easy targets for the bad guys, which is why they're being targeted. Okay? And the story, the lesson for the rest of us is make yourself a harder target. That's always the case. Okay, here we have something in a judicial case in La Prensa. Now, this Colombian guy flies a Cessna from Colombia into Panama. He got arrested in Panama. He was trying to smuggle 649 kilos of cocaine out of Colombia into Panama. He's flying this Cessna, and he had a mechanic on board. They landed at this airstrip in Colombia, but there was a helicopter chasing them, so they said, oh shit, they bailed out. They left Panama, they landed in they left Colombia, landed in Panama, and they got arrested. Okay, thrown in jail, blah. The airplane that they were in was a Cessna 210. That aircraft was turned over to the Panamanian government, and the Panamanian government was using it for stuff. This is the airplane that crashed, if you remember, back in August of 2011 with 6 people aboard that were working for working in the Darien, government employees. So the airplane gets confiscated, and then it crashes and 6 people are killed. In the meantime, these 2 guys were in prison. The Colombian guys that were doing the drug trafficking, one guy was convicted and sentenced to 5 years. The mechanic was absolved. He was acquitted. So now the prosecutor is, the guy who was convicted is appealing the sentence for the 5-year conviction, and the prosecutor is appealing the acquittal for the mechanic who was let go. But anyway, that's just one of these things where it's a wrap up of an ongoing story that's been going on for a couple of years. Okay, in the Chiriquí, the Aquatic Resources Authority of Panama, the National Aeronaval Service, and the environmental guys busted people who were using drift nets in Chiriquí. These nets are like 1 kilometer or more long, and they just let them hang behind the boat, and then anything that swims into the net, they pull up. They also busted some guys that were using explosives to fish. Dynamite, boom, it explodes, and then you shock the fish, and anything that floats to the surface, you scoop up with a net, which is illegal. So, when they pulled up to bust these guys, the fishermen hauled ass, but apparently the guys in the neighborhood know who they were. They just looked at the boat and said, okay, that's Sparky, we know who that guy is, let him go. They didn't bother chasing him. They're like, we'll go to his house and bust him this afternoon. We know who the guy is. That was kind of the attitude in the article. But anyway, they are making an effort to some degree within their capabilities to protect the aquatic resources, fish, the best they can. Anyway, so they're doing something. Okay, last thing. Here we have in the Dia Dia, there has been a strike going on among the prisoners in the prison in David. They were primarily, it's a hunger strike. Say a strike, it's a hunger strike. They were complaining about the prison psychologist, and they managed to get that guy rotated out of that job and put into a different job somewhere else. He didn't get fired, they just moved him to a different prison or something like that. And they got some attention to their case, and there's lots of accusations against this guy, Ismael Flores, who is the warden of that prison, and primarily related to corruption, that the prisoners are saying that all the prison guards are corrupt and all the prison system is corrupt, and they're right. And then Flores comes back and says, well, they should prove those charges. In other words, we're doing whatever we want, and if you can prove it, well then fine, we got a problem. But if you can't prove it, screw you. That's his attitude, all right? The prison system in Panama is just screwed up, and it's full of corruption, and you can get anything you want if you pay enough money, including walking out the front door. These drug traffickers, man, they have paid. I don't know how much they got to pay, but it's been it happened just a couple of weeks ago. A couple of women walked right out the front door of the women's prison. Everybody just at the same time goes, hey, look, is that a rabbit? And then they're walking by, Amazing. Anyway, prisons in Panama, and the hunger strike in David is over. Boy, I was really concerned that some of those prisoners were going to starve themselves to death. Wow, that was keeping me up at night. Okay, anyway, that's all I got. That is it for today, Friday, the 8th of March, 2013. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.